little side-by-side tabletop evaluation, Oregon saw versus Greenworks saw. I'm not going to show the Ryobi 18-volt saw that I have in this evaluation because it's almost not. I mean, it's almost the Toys for Tots version compared to these two. The Oregon saw, after I kind of got it out of the box, I got the battery charged up. I haven't taken it out in the woods yet. That's why it's all clean and new looking. But you get the impression very quickly this is a professional grade piece of equipment. Okay, it's among professionals. A lot of guys are still going to say, hey, listen, we really want gas powered saws for most of our work. But for the limbing operations where they've already dropped a big log, dropped a big tree, there's a lot of limbs sticking off of it, you want to go and clean the limbs off. This saw, it's decent power, makes a hell of a lot less noise than a regular chainsaw. And you don't get the smell, you don't get the same fire hazard stuff going on, although you can still get sparks out of it, especially with the self-sharpening mechanism. You got to look out for sparks. It's just a hell of a lot more convenient saw to use in smaller operations. And from what I can tell about the motor in it, it definitely is no joke on the power department. We're going to show a lot more in the cutting power between the two, but the heft, the size, everything that's going on inside of here compared to here is definitely, it's real chainsaw territory. This isn't just a cordless version of a plug-in-the-wall chainsaw. You can tell by the blade size compared to the Greenworks. This is the infomercial saw. It's definitely in the cool and useful gadgets realm as far as stuff goes. But we also have to realize that it's half the money of the Oregon saw. Okay, so it's half the money. Yes, it's a 40-volt lithium-ion battery. Yes, the battery packs actually read pretty comparable power, but when I go to use the Oregon saw, you can just tell, and we'll show that later. But you can tell that this is actually a more powerful unit, even though the specifications on a battery look pretty darn close. The Greenworks saw does not have a chain brake. The Oregon saw does, and that's to meet certain kind of OSHA requirements and stuff like that. One cool feature about the Greenworks saw, it's got a self-adjustment mechanism. So I think for the amateur user, there's a lot going on here. Yeah, the ergonomics I think are a little bit better on the Greenworks if somebody's going to use it left-handed. The Oregon saw is kind of a right-hand user piece of equipment. When you look at the blade comparisons, the Greenworks is rated to actually use Oregon chain, but when we look at the number of cutting teeth that's going on here, these are just guide teeth. These are cutting teeth. So we've only got one cutting tooth like every 2 inches. I mean, it's just not that many, okay? And yeah, it's really not that many cutting teeth. On the Oregon saw, each one of the hooks that's facing this way is a cutting tooth. These little double ones are just a guide tooth. That's just for cleaning the chips out of the cut. So here we can see the cutting teeth, the forward-facing ones, okay, you get more cutting teeth per inch, okay? There's 3 cutting teeth right there, and the space that you only get 2 cutting teeth on the Greenworks saw. And in a little cut demonstration I did on the Greenworks versus Ryobi, you get even less cutting out of the Ryobi. So it's going to spend a lot of time gnawing on the wood. And that's part of when you talk about work productivity versus battery life. Chances are the Greenworks battery might last every bit as long, you know, as far as you're cutting all day long. It'll last every bit as long as the battery in the Greenworks saw, but I suspect, I mean, the Greenworks battery is going to last just as long. But I suspect you're going to get more cutting done through the day with the Oregon saw because you got more teeth per inch on the saw blade, and you've got a larger saw, which means you're spreading that workload across more chain links. Even though the blade lengths are, you know, I mean, kind of comparable as far as real world, as far as how far you can reach, but you do have obviously a little bit more with the Oregon saw. Again, it's twice the money. So when we talk about having the comparison, this is a tabletop comparison. Okay, I think for the amateur user, there's still a lot of good to be said about the Greenworks. It's also a much less expensive saw. For somebody who's going to use something a little more professionally, a little more regularly, I think your organ saw might be the way to go. And then we're going to do some outdoor demonstrations here in a week or so. Talking about general purpose survival, the chainsaw is a survival tool. I want to get into that in another little aspect of the video.